ways. I can take the real estate investor, the tips and tricks about how to buy places, how to close places, all that type of stuff that local investors want to take in, and I can brand it around the podcast. Nothing makes me feel better than when you see a lead come in through our PMW and it says where it came from. It says ChatGPT.
Oh, yeah.
It's like,
I
yes,
see
like
that.
we literally
I do. I forward it to people and I'm like, oh, this is incredible.
Yes. And we'll take the transcript of this and we built out in chat. Then we'll take the job description and we'll put that in there and it measures against it and gives it a score for each one of the sections of our scorecard. $12,000 to set up the studio. Like, that is not how much it really costs for anyone listening. Like, the barrier of entry to have a podcast is lower than it's ever been. I've been saying this for about 7 years is video is still like the number one differentiator from you and your competitors. Websites, they're necessary, but people don't hire words on a website. They hire personalities.
All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Evernest Property Management Show. I am one of your hosts, Spencer Sutton, and today I am not joined by Matthew Whitaker. He is in a meeting right now, so I took this opportunity to have a longtime friend and how many times have you been on the podcast, Mark?
I want to say 4, and I was just thinking about it because I feel like Matthew's never here for the ones that I'm on, and I'm starting to take it personally. Maybe
No. We recorded. This is Mark Ainley with GC Realty and Development in Chicago. A lot of you know him if you are in the property management space. So I'm. It's great to have you, Mark. I don't have had you for. And by the way, Matthew was on when you were in Florida, right? We were
on the one that we did in person.
Yeah, we did that in person. So he was there. Sorry, he was there, and you know what? We didn't really like the way he interacted with you, and so I kicked him off of this one. How's that?
Man, that's fine. I get you all to myself, man. I enjoy your company.
You know, the reason I wanted to have you on is because, well, there's a few things. I think probably having you on the podcast once a year is great. You're well respected in the industry. You have a great business. For me, you're somebody I look up to because you are a big content producer. You're kind of like a natural marketer / salesperson. So I've learned a lot from you. And so I always like to catch up. So this is kind of the way we catch up. And I've always said this when you come on, you're also the most helpful person that I know in the industry. So anytime and I know you do this for other people because I've heard other people talk about you. Anytime there's like a Bigger Pockets comment in my little market here in Birmingham, you'll shoot me a text or you'll shoot me a notice and say, hey, they're talking bad about you. It's usually what it is. And you want me to go and defend myself. But I appreciate that very much because I know you also send leads to other people, friends that you have in different markets. So, so it's good to have you, man.
Thanks for having me, man. I always appreciate the opportunity to come on here. And like I said, man, I've always appreciated our friendship. And I don't know, it's just easy to talk to you, man. You got that Southern charm that gets me. I don't
know. Southern charm. Okay. Well, you know, I want to kick this off with, because I'm just finishing up a kind of like a 3-part series and talking a little bit about marketing and finishing with content creation. And this is one of the things I think you do really, really well. So it's helpful for people to hear, not just from me, but from outside voices, people who really well respected in the industry. And so I want to dive in. I want to kick off with this, but then we're going to talk about some other subjects. But I want to kick off with, like, when did you start because let's talk about this. Besides your podcast, Mark, what other content do you produce? Or is the podcast kind of like, the way I like to think of it, it's like it's the hub, and then you take and make other pieces of content from the podcast. So they're kind of like spokes off of the main hub of the, like, one piece of content. What other pieces of content do you produce?
Yeah. So the podcast content that comes out, and this is pretty cool in the sense of it helps me 2 different ways. I can take the real estate investor, the tips and tricks about how to buy places, how to close places, all that type of stuff that local investors want to take in, and I can brand it around the podcast. We've branded it separately. It's straight up Chicago Investor. And then I could turn around, every episode we have a housing provider tip that we do, and I could brand that with GC. And again, both of those can get promoted to both sides. And, even recently, I've been using a lot more of our content to promote and try to add value to our current clients. So we are able to brand that stuff both ways. But I think what I've been getting into in content lately, which is super interesting to me, is, we've been around for 23 years, and I think we've been good at collecting our data for the last 10 years. So we have a pretty good data set, right? So I've been taking all of our data and creating articles around that, and then making quick videos and so forth. But I think the most recent one was like north side of Chicago versus south side of Chicago, which costs more to do turnovers. And we're using actual numbers, and not specific, but it's all ranges and stuff like that. Or how long, right now we're working on a bunch of stuff of 2025, how long it took you to rent your place out, how many applicants you should have expected. So that's what I'm getting into right now, content wise, that I feel is interesting to people. Other content that we're doing right now is really trying to beat the system when it comes to, if you search on AI and they don't recommend us in a particular town or city, why are they not, and how do we fill that gap? So I think that's one of the biggest things that anyone listening here can do right now. And we're not perfect at it. It's really hacking it almost. It's very gritty, which I think that's right up my alley.
Yeah, it is right up your alley, because I 100% agree. So tell me some of the ways that you're trying to be found on these LLMs.
So the crazy thing about the LMN is I think a lot of what you've done the last 4 or 5 years or didn't do is hurting or helping you right now. So I feel we've positioned ourselves, again, life is timing, right? And luck a lot of times. So we've done a lot in the last 4 or 5 years to be able to at least set us up for seeing a little traction early on. And nothing makes me feel better than when you see a lead come in through our PMW and it says where it came from. It says ChatGPT.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, yes,
like that.
We literally forward.
I do. I forward it to people, and I'm like, oh, this is incredible.
Yes. So it's like such a win. But people have talked about this all over marketing now. But like the problem that is, or the thing that's so important is how you're getting found on there, and that you're getting found there as like number one for the most part. It used to be Google. They look at the top 2, 3, and they call all 3 people. And now you might not, if you're number 2 or number 3, and God forbid you're higher than that, you might not get a chance at all. So the person that really is number one at any approach to the search is the one that's going to win. And we've fared fairly well. And I don't know how. This is a very broad statement, and there's no bragging at this at all. But I'm hearing a lot of companies saying their leads are down right now, and ours has been pretty steady, if not up a little this year.
Do you think that's the shift from Google to more LLM search, and so the search volume may be the same, but just the way they're finding you is different?
I think so. I think so. If anything, we've positioned ourselves, and what we've done is we've really doubled down the last couple of months, and just cranked out tons of content. And we're personalizing a lot of it, but we are having the framework of the stuff be written. I'm a big fan of, if anyone hasn't used this yet, Prompt Cowboy. Have you messed with that yet?
I have not. Prompt Cowboy.
So Prompt Cowboy is pretty cool. So I'm ask my wife, I'm a horrible communicator, right?
No, you're not.
So what I want,
I have a fantastic podcast. You can't be a horrible communicator.
No. But what I have going in my head, and when I have to display what my needs are out in the air, like it's usually a very different of what comes out versus what's bouncing around in my head. So no different than any of us trying to create a prompt to create us articles or create us the content that we're trying to create. So Prompt Cowboy is basically, I could like mind dump it in a very inefficient ADHD mindset that I have, and it'll say, okay, you're a professional property manager. That it totally spits out this beautiful prompt, and then I take that over to Chad, or I became a big fan of Claude, and I say, hey, can you, and I'll use that exact prompt to help me write something, and then I'll modify a whole bunch of it. We kind of script it. Yeah, I like the whole mindset around content. People ask me like how much of it is original, and it's kind of this 70-30 rule of like 70 of it's a framework, 30 of it you personalize to the market, your opinions and stuff like that, and that actually makes it a help. And that's what and if you're paying someone to do content right now for you, that's all they're doing.
That's all they're doing.
That's right.
They're not writing from scratch. That's right.
Yeah, so that's some of what we've been working on, and just kind of cranking out this content and trying to fill those gaps between. We've Uber Suggest. I'm a big Neil Patel fan.
Yeah, I know Neil Patel. Yeah, big SEO guy.
But he's got that. It's free or like $5 or $10 or $15 depending on how much you upgrade. But he has this. It's called Uber Suggest product right now, where you go on there and you put Nashville property management, and it'll tell you a lot of what people are most likely searching for. I'm not sure if it's exactly, but it'll start telling you like these are what people are searching for, and these are the keywords you want to be qualifying for. Qualifying, whatever the right word is. But these are the keywords you want to have in your content to close that gap. So and you put your information in there and it looks you up and so forth. But it's those type of tools that we've been messing around more so than ever when it comes to content.
So you've got the audio piece with the podcast, you've gotten the written piece, and then talk a little bit about your video that you're doing. Are you complementing some of these articles with video, like attaching? Because that's what we've been talking about around here lately.
Yeah, so big time. So the podcast is video as well too. Background here. One thing that is funny enough, our intern who was 19 at the time is like, if you guys want to stick around as a podcast, you gotta like do better, man. Zoom sucks.
Zoom was horrible because you
were
were like in your office just doing it, right?
yeah. I mean, we didn't intend to start during COVID, but we ended up rolling out during COVID just based on timing. And it's like we just got stuck in the Zoom world, and if anything, it was getting really boring to me. So he came on, he started helping with some of the content. He's like, dude, like get a 4K camera, let's do this. And we're like, all right, man, can you set this up? If you give me a list, how much it's going to cost, and we'll write the check. So he came back, it cost $10-12 to create what you see here in the
10
background.
or $12?
I'm sorry, 10 or 12 grand.
There you go.
Yeah, that'd be a steal, literally. To kind of build out the studio. And we started doing stuff in person. And originally we're like, to justify the cost, we're like, all right, if we could do 20% in person, that will, over the first year, that'll justify the cost, even if we only did it for 1 year, right? Say we gave up. And it turned out we're doing about 95% in person. And so it's getting used and we're getting our money's worth. But that's also ultimately helping us create awesome video content. We got the 4K cameras, all that stuff.
So that's that's the benefit, I think, Mark, because you're focused on one market, right? And so you've got like, hey, you've got people who are investing in Chicago. This is what the Straight Up Chicago Investor podcast is all about, is like giving great information to local landlords, real estate investors. And so a lot of people are coming, like ours is a little bit different in that our investor podcast is pretty much nationwide. So I tell property managers all the time. I'm like, listen, you've got an incredible advantage because most of you have one market to think about. And like now your market is big and it's very complex, right? So, but that's really cool. So what we've been thinking about also, Mark, is what I've started doing is going back and taking some of our best sales calls and having them transcribed and then having them rewritten to be better, like to turn into articles, because they become more like FAQs, right? They're the same questions that everybody asks, maybe answered a little bit different, but they're very market specific because we have BDMs in all these different markets. So that's one of the things that we're doing, along with creating video content for some of those.
There's this cool this is not on topic exactly, but I'll put this out there. I've been using it. I just recently got a new BDM, and I came across this guy out of Arizona, and he's doing a whole bunch of AI with trying to automate more sales and have the bots cold call people, and that's great. That's not what I'm interested in. But what I'm interested in is his free offering on his website that you could upload, from Lead Simple, the recording into it, and it gives you a score based on what they did, what they didn't do. So I don't have that in front of me. It's like AI something, blah blah. But we could put that in the show notes for anybody. It's a great little tool to.
Yeah, that's great. Send it to me, and we'll put it in the show notes. The one thing I have done is taken some of our transcripts from sales calls and fed it into ChatGPT and told it, like, given it the prompt, hey, listen, you're senior sales, VP or whatever, blah 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 blah, and it's come back with some really good insight for the BDMs.
That's the ultimate thing I want to do for the sales side. So we did that for employee side, right? So we have an interview like this. I'm interviewing you for whatever. It might be a remote team member. It might be a property manager. And we'll take the transcript of this, and we built out in chat. Then we'll take the job description, and we'll put that in there, and it measures against it and gives it a score for each one of the sections of our scorecard. So I want to do that ultimately with the sales side of things, which will be it's just, here's the thing. If I got to manage it, it just means more managing is going to get done.
That's right. Well, I like that idea. We were just talking about our employee funnel in a meeting earlier today, just how important it is to find the right people, and like A players make all the difference. So you brought it up. You said you just hired a new BDM. I want to go back to, because I think the last time you and I spoke, you had found BDM. You were really excited about this person. They were phenomenal. You were telling me So talk about the like how that's gone, because this person was crushing it, knocking it out of the park, if I can use that phrase, and now they've moved on in your company. They've kind of moved up.
Yeah, Shay, and a lot of people out there. He's actually gone pretty above and beyond and put himself out there, help other people as well too. At least on the sales and marketing side. But Shay Murray, he came on 2022, so right about 3 years ago, and he found me on the podcast. So the one cool thing I like about the podcast is if I want to do something in the near future, I'll put it out there because then I feel obligated to actually go for it. So
Right.
I think on an episode, I said, yeah, because at the time I was doing sales, if you remember,
Yeah.
and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to put anyone out there. I'm going to put an ad up there for pretty soon to hire a salesperson, remove myself. And I obviously said it not much nicer, but all of a sudden I get a call from him one day, and I don't remember I said that on the podcast, honestly, at that point. I knew, again, that was one of those things I wanted to do. And he's like, yeah, I'd love to talk to you about that position you posted. And I'm like, oh, man. All right, cool. Come on in.
I don't know if I'm really ready to give it up yet.
So, but yeah, he came in. He was a professional baseball player and finished up his last kind of game in the minors. Literally flew overnight to be that interview. But yeah, he came on board and he crushed it. And the crazy thing now, I look in hindsight. So he ultimately 3 years in that. All right, you've heard this, and we've all heard this. Is when someone's ready to be promoted when they're actually trying to do the job of someone else, or when they're actually trying to do the job they're trying to get promoted to, versus like, hey, I want that job, and then I'll go figure out how to do it. Like we've all done that to people too. We promote them too soon, or they're not ready, or they don't know what to do. And with him, like in the sales position, he kept reaching into the PM side and like solving problems. Now things were getting back to him because we might have onboarded a guy a year ago and they still reach back out to him. But he was actually solving all these problems on the PM side. Like, man, dude, this guy might be a pretty good director. Like, so ultimately he got promoted to director. I had to find somebody else. And so I got pretty lucky. I found somebody else pretty quickly. Again, it was somebody that wasn't looking for the role. I found somebody that was a senior PM that applied for a different role. So kind of got lucky again. And the guy's been on fire for it. He got his first sale like in week 2, which again, I had to like stop this guy because he's like, I'll go do the one-on-one by myself. I'm like, no, dude, you got to let me come with you, dude. Like, hey, you don't know half the stuff that I haven't told you yet. I don't even know half the stuff I haven't told you
yet.
Right.
That's right. But you can make it up on the fly. He can't.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. So, and if you made it up, there's more like he's going to make up the wrong.
That's right, exactly. You're going to get you in trouble. So tell me what was his name? What's his name? Shay, you said?
Shay.
Okay, so what made, besides, I mean, obviously professional baseball player, I get that. Those the athletes are typically pretty ambitious. Besides that, what made him such a great BDM?
So I look back at like his COG, not his COG, his predictive index, and he was a promoter, and he's a highest B, and that made the entire office love him. That made everyone he came in contact. He's a very likable guy too. He was competitive just through sports, and you don't have to be professional in these sports. I look at people that are playing some sort of college level, even if it's D3, have this level of competitiveness in them somewhere. So I always like that, or I like someone that's got the military because there's a little more discipline. Talk about ownership type stuff like they're familiar with those type of conversations, right? But I think if anything, at the end of the day, because he was such a good, strong operator, so good with people, I don't even think sales was his strength. I think truly leadership and management is more of his strength. He just was so good at that and likable that sales just was happening. So not discounting anything. Like he was an amazing salesperson, but I think if anything, that was not his strongest suit. And I think he's more of in where he should be right now for his own growth.
That's interesting. I have always said I don't think that property management sales is very difficult, right? It's not a complicated sale. It's really all about, can you get people to trust you and to like you? And that sounds like that's what he had. So you combine the trust and the like a person with the drive to win. And so it's not just somebody's just going to be like, hey, I'm just going to let people come to me. They're really, really motivated to sign up doors. And to me, those make the absolute best BDMs, period, the end. They don't have to be fantastic salespeople, but they've got to be able to connect with people.
you do business with people you like and trust, right? We've all heard that one. Like
100%.
that's he was able to accomplish. And if anything, that's been any of my strong suits. Like people are able to like me and trust me at least for the period of time they're dealing with me.
So I'm interested. Like he has enough detail to be in the operations side. What do you think? What do you think the challenge with moving somebody from sales to operations is going to be?
So I think in our organization we have a little higher level of systems orientation that you have to if you come on. So the best person for that role that has 20 years experience being a director of property manager will still struggle and have a slow start. So he was able to jump in right away and start getting hit in the face with the problems and not worrying about how to move around the system because he knew that. So he had that going for him. I knew that would be super beneficial. The other thing that is different for this role is he's remote. We've never done that before. Now, part of how we ended up here is the last couple of people we hired. One worked out short term, the other one just didn't work out pretty quick term. And it's like, man, like, what do we got to lose trying someone remote? Like,
Right.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he knows our culture, he accepts our culture, he likes our culture. Everyone in this organization loves that guy. Like he can't. I mean, if you're going to talk percentages and odds, like if we go hire someone off the street, we probably have a better chance of him making it. Don't get me wrong; he demonstrated his ability to solve problems. All right, one more thing I think that I totally left out that I think is one of his biggest skill sets is curiosity. The guy is so curious. And a lot of times when you have problems, it's wondering how do we end up here and how do we get out of this? Like the curiosity of it. And when he was building rapport with people, trying to get them to like and trust, and he didn't try, it just naturally happened. He was curious. Hey, Spencer, man, what do you do? Oh, you do that? That's crazy. What made you get into like, and it wasn't fake. And you could totally see the authenticity in him. And it was just pure curiosity is probably one of his biggest things that has led him to success so far and will continue that path for him.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. We've got I remember when we hired Graham Robinson, who's our president here, and I just remember commenting to Matthew when I met him for the first time as he was kind of going through the interview process. And then I obviously, as I got to know Graham, I actually report to Graham. He leads all the growth, so sales, marketing, all the stuff, and he is absolutely asked the best questions. Right? He asks a layer deep, like he goes a little bit deeper than you typically want to go, and very inquisitive. And to me, to your point, great problem solvers. When you're asking all the right questions, you can kind of get to the root of the issue and usually solve those problems.
Yeah, that's so interesting. I'm working with somebody else right now. We've moved a couple people around, and I have like an onboarding person that takes it from the time the contract gets signed to 60 days after person moves in, and it's someone local. And I've been working with him. The guy's got so much experience. He's likable. But one thing I'm working on is you asked the wrong question. What's the right question you should have asked there? Like it's so crazy how, and I guess that probably ties back to curiosity. Is the curiosity to be right is not usually the answer. it's to understand and seek and understand, right? We always hear about that.
Yeah, that's so true. So so we talked about a little bit about sales. I want to kind of come back to the marketing side because you've obviously built up a really great engine, right? So I think when people hear this, they're like, well, Mark, you've got this fantastic podcast, you're recording tons of video, you've got a studio, like 99% of the property managers out there don't have a studio. You've got all these systems and everything figured out. And I know you're very, very helpful. Like people reach out to you all the time. You're super generous with your knowledge, what you share with people. I'd like to kind of take you, if I were to take you, Mark, and put you somewhere else in the Midwest, or if I could go back in time and you started GC Realty today, how would you like, if you were starting from scratch, what would you be doing today? And I'm just thinking of all the property managers out there that are managing 100, 200, 300. They want to grow. They don't have all the systems. They don't have all the things that you have. What would you be doing today?
So I threw that number before, just say $12,000 to set up the studio. Like that is not how much it really costs for anyone listening. Like the barrier of entry to have a podcast is lower than it's ever been. You need a halfway decent microphone, which you get for $75. Maybe you need two microphones. Stuff like we're recording out right now, Riverside, if you're going to do things remote, like it literally, I think there's a $20 a month subscription. The there's very low barrier of entry. We went above and beyond because it's like we had to like reinvent ourselves if we want to stay relevant. I think we're at episode 220 at that point. So we just had to like kind of like up the game, right? So that was
Did
our
you just
job.
say you had to reinvent yourself to stay relevant?
Yeah, as far as the podcast, I don't know. I felt the pressure to do so. Maybe that was
Do you think more people watch you or listen to you?
far more people listen than
Okay.
watch.
Okay.
I mean, it's like probably 30 to
30 to
1
1. Gotcha.
listen.
Okay.
And I think that's just because we started out the gate
Mhm.
listening, and it's easier.
People are used to it.
So, but part of the reinventing too is we were getting bored doing it on Zoom. It was harder to stay focused. I'll tell you this. You know, it's one of the most beautiful things is when we record in person. Man, you know this. We're in this world where we're always getting bombarded with notifications, family, and you're at the age of kids, and like everyone's doing something sometimes. That hour that we might record, like it's solely like it's very peaceful. Like you wake up at the end like, oh shit, I gotta do this, I gotta do that, I gotta do that. But it's like that's like the only time like I got on airplane mode, the phone, like it's beautiful. I didn't answer your question yet though.
I interrupted you, so I'm sorry. I keep going, but the point you made just right off the bat was, hey, all you really need, because this is what we did. We just bought $100 microphone for me, one for Matthew, a couple of headphones, and we recorded on Zoom. That was it.
Yeah.
So it's very low, and I probably no, I did hire Jimmy to do this, and you did too, to be the producer. But you could also produce it yourself. It's if you wanted to.
Yeah, no, for sure. But those are still small dollar amounts, and if the amount that we pay to produce it on a weekly basis, we do weekly shows. It's not worth my time or anyone that's listening's time to do it. Like they'll do it far better, far faster, and it gives you, if anything, the sustainability to keep going because that's one less thing you got to do, right?
Especially if you're a marketer or a salesperson, you don't want to get into the nitty gritty weeds and all the audio engineering, all that stuff.
Yeah. Now I still think so. To answer your question, I think you're getting out the gate. You're starting, even if you've been around for 5-6 years and you just decided to turn on the marketing like efforts. The thing I've been saying this for about 7 years is video is still like the number one differentiator from you and your competitors. Because you look, anyone that's listening to this, you look around in your market. I don't care what your market in. If you're in a bigger market, there might be a couple of people doing it. But if you're in the smaller markets, no one is cranking out video. No one is putting that stuff out there. And the ability to overcome or overwhelm or saturate the market, it's really hard to do that. But what I think, if anything, you might do, and I don't know if my competitors have led on said stuff like this. It's like, yeah, I'm not going to go start a podcast, or I'm not going to go do this. Like you're too far ahead. But in most markets, it's not like that yet. And you have that jump on there and do Facebook Lives, and all of a sudden you're everywhere for really cheap and really not too crazy of effort. You can become that person because video is still king. Because the person in the next, your competitors are still scared to jump on video and do it. Like that's just the reality of that. People are still afraid to put themselves on camera. It's still our generation. Maybe the next generation is going to come up harder and faster, and anyone listening to this 10 years from now is going to have to be a little bit more aggressive. But I thought this was going to die off. I keep saying in a couple of years, you have this runway to just crank out videos, and it can be 1 minute videos, it can be 2 minute videos, post them everywhere. And that's probably your biggest competitive advantage you can do right now.
What's kind of the feedback you've gotten since you've done that? I do agree with you. It'd be very, very simple for a property manager. Let's just say you're in Nashville, Tennessee, or wherever, somewhere in the Midwest. You know that market better than a lot of people. And for you to give a landlord like the viewpoint of the landlord, you could do that short little videos, you could do longer videos. Like what's the response been to you? How have you seen your efforts pay off? I guess is what I'm asking.
So I think there's two ways I answer. There are two different sides of this. One, I have no clue at times, but it's everywhere. And I know, sometimes just the idea of other people wanting to try to compete kind of discourage them. But two, it ends up being familiarity. I think there's a lot of times when you show up to an event or I'll just be out and people will recognize me. And then, you get a sales lead and even video inside your drips, right? If someone inquires for your property management services, you should have a video coming out right away with the warmest, trust me, love me, and hire me face and voice. And that right there, when you walk up to the door, you've never seen them. I walk up the door sometimes where it's like, maybe I haven't talked to them, it's all been chat or a text or whatever, and it's like I was expecting a guy to answer, but it's a girl because the name's so close. I've never seen them. It's actually a different opposite sex, and they're like, "Oh man, you look just like the video." Like it's like they feel comfortable already because they're familiar. So it offers that just comfort level of who they know who they're hiring. People, I have this in one of my presentations recently I did is, websites, they're necessary, but people don't hire words on a website. They hire personalities, and all of our companies all have personalities. So you control that personality. Is it boring, stodgy, 20-year-old website that's just lukewarm and just has BS kind of like writing that you put on there 7 years ago? Or has it got personalities? It got you're offering this. You have funny words or words that are more modern or updates that are happening regularly. Like all those things is your company's personality, and that's who they're going to hire.
Yeah, I resonate with that so much because I tell property managers when I talk to them, I'm like, listen, if you have a brochure type website that's just a regurgitated information, nobody cares. Like nobody, you blend in with everybody else. Why wouldn't you want to use video? And especially if you're in a local market, like unlike us, we have people reaching out who are in Los Angeles. Well, guess what? I'm in Birmingham, Alabama, so it's more difficult for me to connect. So if I was in a local market, I would be 100% hammering home this like local feel. Hey, I'm local here, and you know the streets, you know everything about the city. I would do this over and over and over again because, to your point, when people find, because we know that property management is kind of like one of those things nobody thinks about until they need it. And so they can watch some of your videos, they can kind of get to know you, get to know your personality, and then when they do pick up the phone, they already have an expectation of what the relationship's going to be like just based on listening to you, whether it be on the podcast or whether it be watching the videos. So I 100% agree. I just don't know why more people don't do it. That's always kind of blown my mind, but I'm okay with that because, to your point, Mark, like it like we're trying to build a moat, and we want this content to be evergreen, and we want to build as much content as we possibly can so that we're the first people that people think about, when they're looking in Birmingham or Nashville or wherever these markets are.
And to keep it simple, like, right behind me, I have a stool. I have a little bar table, and I take the little tripod, the $8 tripod, might even be cheaper than that. Put my iPhone on there, turn it sideways, and put on airplane mode, and I record videos, and I record videos. I pause at the beginning, I pause at the end. I record a quick video, I upload it to YouTube, I chop off both sides, and it's ready to go. Like, there's not much production level. Probably the fanciest part of my production level is maybe the background. Like, and it's just like, it's that big GC sign you see in the back there. Like, I position so it's like over my shoulder, almost like I'm doing right now. But it can be that simple. And I'm not a fan of scripting. Maybe you got to write down something to learn it. But I think, if anything, again, that personality comes out, and the what you're saying on that video. If you're listening to this and a business owner, more than likely you've said what you just said 100 times, if not more, to different people. If you've been in this long, you've probably said what you're just about to say on this video 1,000 times. So the fact you need a script, you're just getting in your own way of moving faster in that sense. So
Yeah,
I'm bad with scripts. Maybe it's just
no,
me. I'm really bad at like reading.
I'm not good with them either. I saw a buddy the other day. He posted a picture on LinkedIn, and he had a teleprompter, and but I know him, and he's not like, that's not his strong suit. It's just like coming off the cuff. So he needed that teleprompter. So maybe it kind of depends on the person. However, like, even the other day, I was talking to Jacob, who's here in the office right now as I'm recording this. He runs all of our YouTube. He makes sure all the podcast stuff is done. Jacob's tremendously talented, and I was getting some feedback from him. I was like, how can I improve? And one of the things that he said, and he said this more than once, is you need to add more personality in the video. Like, if it's humor or whatever, add humor, add more personality. And even though I don't read a script, it's still maybe I can be a little bit reserved. And so he's just like, hey, be yourself and let that come through.
Body language is huge, right? I think in videos, and I've done just I read a couple books on this, watched some bunch of scientific type things of like the hand movement, where your head goes, how your head moves, certain head gestures. Like, there's a lot in that, and if you just, especially if you naturally move often, like use that to your advantage. Like that's huge. Now, one funny thing I saw the other day, a guy I was helping, another property manager, and he's like, "Hey man, can you let me know if these videos are good?" And he sends me, and he's got glasses, and you could see the teleprompter in his glasses. I'm like, I love it, man. It was actually a pretty good job. He did a pretty good job. I'm like, but man, everyone knows you're wearing a teleprompter because I can see the glare in your glasses. So
I'm glad he sent that to you before he sent it out to other people.
yeah, it was funny. He appreciated. He thought it was funny too. But the I think what was I going to say there? I had something good. I totally forgot. Keep going.
What do when people are reaching out to you, Mark? Because again, like I've mentioned, you're well known in the industry. You're really involved. I'll see you at NARPM conferences. You're a part of several different, maybe we would call them masterminds or whatever from property management. What are people reaching out to you? What do you think people are struggling with today when it comes to marketing? I'm just curious what people are asking you.
A lot of people ask me. I talk a lot about people reach out about the podcast, and I try to explain to them the similar things we were talking about here, how easy the threshold is, and again, the I think I think it's like 99% of podcasts never make it past 10 episodes. So it's like, man, just go record 11 of them and you're going to already beaten and you got that muscle built. That's what we did. We recorded 11 off the bat just in case we changed our mind. But stuff like that. I think a lot of people that are asking me like, I want to make content. It's like, oh, well, talk to me about content. Like what, I think everyone has different areas of specialty. And I think, I think there's two different types of clients you market to. There's a bunch. You could break it down. I know you guys have names for them, but there's always this accidental landlord. And right now the accidental landlord is more of the, I don't want to sell my interest rate, so I'm going to figure out how to be a landlord, which is way better than the I'm broke, I'm underwater, and don't have a job and need to figure out what to do 2012
I was about to say, we've had
so,
those too. Yeah.
Yeah, those like this is like a breath of fresh air accidental landlord. So and then you have the investor. And I think you have some of the markets, if you're in California, it's more about, I say this loosely, but it's scary out there. You scare the hell out of these people and make sure that they find you and make sure you can help them. And then here in the Midwest and I think South, you have a lot more investor content. And it's more about, talk about the markets, pitfalls of the market, stuff investors aren't going to go through. And I think those are things these are things that you're saying every single day. And the ability to have a video out and will almost just save your sales pitch. And so that's one thing it did. So we can usually get through our sales pitch in 15, 20 minutes because some of the videos we do, if people spend time on our website, we direct them back our FAQ, which has a whole bunch more videos. That, if anything, if you do that, you get 1,000 leads a year. If you get 100 leads a year, if you're able to cut that down by 15, 20 minutes each one, like that's huge.
Yeah, that is huge.
Or entice people to call you.
That's right. That's right. No, I think that's Jacob and I were talking the other day just about, what do we want to be known for? And I think I've gotten very, very, because I've had so many conversations with out-of-state investors. That's what we got here in Birmingham was just a ton of out-of-state investors. And I have had so many conversations trying to help them avoid pitfalls. I think that's kind of what our content's been known as, is like, hey, don't do that. Like, you will totally screw the pooch if you do that. You will lose tens of thousands of dollars. You're going to get in trouble with this, that. So I think that type of content is good. And I actually like doing that because I want to help people regardless whether they use us or not. I want to build trust that way. I think that builds trust. And if I can help save them money or help save them from making a really horrible decision, then I think that's 100% what we want to do.
But I think a lot of content where people, I think you know this, but I think a lot of people feel it's I create this content, it posted and we're done. The best content you could create is stuff you could use over and over again. So we have all the drips built out for all the people that are snoozed or whatever in Lead Simple. So we put the videos in there of like, hey, do you know about the rental license here or whatever it might be? And or for us, what we've been doing, and this is starting to pay off too. We've never been a big realtor referral side of things, but what we started probably 2.5 years ago now is every other Thursday we send out it's called the Realtor's Property Manager. We named it that way just to kind of tie the two together. And but the whole thing is to educate the realtors on the different stuff. So a lot of those videos we're doing, it's just going to be that's going to go out somewhere in that cycle. And same with the podcast type stuff. You're able to do that. And so often you get someone, they're going to call up for a 1031 exchange. Dude, get your local 1031 person, get them on an interview. And every time that person calls you up doing 1031, hey, I got a guy. I'll send you. I interviewed him a couple months ago. Check this out. So that ends up being good, like follow up stuff. Like, hey, we just got off the sales call, and I'm going to send you. I'm always trying to send something to somebody, like something that's going to help them.
Yeah, no, I agree. And that is probably one of the advantages you have is because you're so much closer to the sales than say I am. I'm kind of removed from that, but our BDM should be doing that. They should be sending podcast episodes. They should be sending articles or videos that we recorded and said, "Hey, here's something I think would be helpful for you." 100% believe people should be doing that. And I
The day after, I was just gonna say for your trips or wherever in Lee Simple, like for us, we have I think it's 2 days after you get done with the call, you send them the information, and 2 days. I think the next day comes up rent range. Usually, I send the rent range right away, but then the next day we have something that says send them something useful. That's the next trip, and
that's the prompt. Send them something
yeah, that's
useful.
the prompt.
Yeah,
And it's
that's
like, all
good.
right, this guy's in this part of town. And then you send it along lines of like, hey, I was thinking of you from our call the other day. I figured this might help you. Or you're thinking about moving out. But again, those are all like these little either clips or short ebooks we wrote. I was a big fan of ebooks a few years ago, and we have a bunch. I think we have 9 or 10 of them. And if anything, what we did just recently, we took them all and converted them to long form blogs, just as to repurpose them. But those are great little attachments to drip campaigns or hey man, check this out. One of them is what you need to know about investing in Chicago. Like, and that's the 7 or 8 things that the guys from California have no clue and get screwed on every time.
Yeah, that's right. No, that's really good. We've got white papers that we've done for every market. But when you have it in the ebook, and it's kind of like an ebook, it's kind of gated, right? So it's gated to get the email. However, you don't get any kind of SEO value from it. You're not, so it's a little bit
Yeah.
different.
Yeah, so that's why we ended up, in this whole world of trying to figure out SEO the last couple of years is we took all that and just have it both places, right? You could have an ebook, which is very sexy, or you have the long form that we made to be foundable with.
I want to double click on something that you mentioned just for the listeners out there. 2 things. Number one, Mark mentioned that he talked to somebody in maybe a PM in Chicago, and they're like, "Oh, well, you've already kind of got a podcast," and they get discouraged and they won't do anything. I would say do something with it's your own show. Like it's your own personality. People may not want to listen to Mark. I'm just thinking in Chicago, but people are like, man, I'm sick of listening to Mark. And they may really take to the way you present information. Like, don't let the fact that somebody's doing something in your market scare you from doing something. That's number one. And number two is, to your point, Mark, don't give up. You can't and I'll tell you, we have made the mistake. We started the Evernest Real Estate Investor podcast. Things got super busy with a bunch of acquisitions. We stopped and now we're rebooting it, and it's a lot more difficult to reboot it when you don't when you stop for a year or 6 months. And so if you just keep going, you'll outlast a lot of your competition.
Well, that guy in Chicago that brought it up to me, I encouraged him to do the podcast. Like, you actually have, in Chicago, I'm friends with pretty much everyone, and we actually refer a lot of business back and forth because we have different corners, different pockets, A, B, C, D class type stuff. We all do something a little different, and the ability for anyone that I talk to, or any one of my friend property managers, they all have a niche. One might be totally D class, one might be Southside, and Southside Chicago, you could literally have an entire podcast about Southside Chicago and how crazy it is, and different stories, and interview people, or they have an entire different network of people. We have 10 million people here in this metro area. It's like there might be some degree of separation, but we all have different relationships with some of the same people, but they're different, and you can ask different questions. And one way that I ask a question to a guy that might be in real estate is totally different how someone else is going to be curious to ask them a question. So to your point, like, don't let that discourage you. Just try putting a different spin on it, or your own spin, right? We were just talking about personality. Like, your podcast can be your personality. Like, our podcast is turned to be ours, and it's wacky at times. So that's kind of who we are.
You'll figure it out. That's the thing. I think that it's all about reps. The more reps you do, the more you figure out your voice, the more comfortable you get, the more you make mistakes. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to screw up. You're going to do things that you're thinking, well, this was horrible. I can't believe, like, we're going to have to release it, but it was not any good. This video wasn't that good. It doesn't matter. Like, if you saw the videos that Matthew was doing before I got here 11 years ago, they're hilarious. But I joke. However, I love the fact that he was still willing to do it. he wanted to win so bad, he was willing to do it, even if it wasn't like the best stuff out there.
Somebody gave me advice, more of a much higher level creator than I am. He gave me advice. I made a comment like, "Oh, I never watch my own stuff." He's like, "You're an idiot. Like, why would you not watch your own stuff?" Like, this is about a year and a half ago, and I've painfully started watching my own stuff pretty quickly after he made me feel dumb. I think as painful as that sounds, we all hate our voice. You know, going back to like answer machines back in the day, we all hate ourselves on answer. Like, some of you guys don't know about that, but
Jacob doesn't. He's right here. He's going to know
right.
what a voicemail is. Or an
Jacob
answering machine. He doesn't know what that is.
Landline. I started picking up on little things that I do and don't do that it's like it wasn't bad enough that anyone was annoyed enough to call me out, but just on the podcast, what I have a habit of doing is moving around, and it's like the voice goes in, the voice goes out, because I'm not staying consistently the same pace. So that was something that, and then there's certain parts of the podcast that I would clearly, we record the beginning at the end, and I'm clearly worn out. So my voice is a little draggier. It's not as intense, but when it's crazy, not having an intense voice on like podcasts is so much more obvious than if we're just in a general conversation. So I learned to pick up my energy level, or at least think about it towards the end. So the feedback is, as painful as it is, even if you're recording that video on your phone, look at it. What makes you cringe, and try changing that. If anything, try to be less cringy to yourself, and that will only benefit you.
I would encourage you to let people listen and ask for honest feedback. I mean, Jacob has given me feedback. We have another person on our team, Krista. She's fantastic. She listens to all these podcasts, and she's given me feedback. She's like, "Hey, you need to stop doing this." And I'm like, "Ah, great. I didn't realize I was doing that. Thank you for bringing that up." But you need to have people who are going to be honest enough to say, "Hey, you could improve it if you did this or didn't do this."
You know who's super honest with you every time?
Who?
Your kids.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know if
They
I
do
want
not
their
have any-
feedback.
Yeah, but that's the harshest. It's like, oh man, he's right, dude. I do I am kind of cringy. Like, they're very honest of how dorky and all that is. So
They are. My daughter's trying to start a YouTube channel, so that's hilarious. I'm giving her feedback. It's kind of funny, but well, Mark, man, this has been fantastic. It's always great to catch up with you, and I appreciate you hopping on the podcast today.
yeah, man, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it, and hopefully I was able to add value to your listeners. I am definitely one of those weekly listeners. Like I said before, you're my jogging partner on Sunday.
Well, I'm glad. Well, I haven't heard your feedback from me. So after the show is over, you can shoot me a text and tell me, "Hey, Spencer, if you did this, it would improve." I would appreciate that. But thanks for being
Dude,
here.
I love the YouTube shorts, man. Like, that's why I had to do the recording of the recording of the recording. Somebody found that. You know how I did that? So anyone listening, Spencer does what do you call those? Is there a name to doing that?
We call them reaction videos.
All right. So you did a reaction video, and I did a reaction video to your reaction video. And somebody sent me the video one day, because we posted it. I posted more just to send to you as a joke. And somebody sent it to me, like, man, you must really not like this guy because you're busting his chops like this. I'm like, is he a competitor in your market? I'm like, no, man, he's actually one of my good friends, and I was just busting his chops like that.
This is what guys do. They bust each other's chops.
Yeah.
That's right. That's how you know if you're a friend or not. That's hilarious. That's hilarious. Yeah, we love the reaction videos. They tend to work, so we're just like continuing to do it. And again, to me, that's all. Like, Jacob goes and finds the most ridiculous real estate advice online on TikTok or on YouTube, and then we'll just react to it. It's perfect. It's like, hey, don't do what they're saying. So, all right, Mark, thanks for being here, everybody. We'll have some information that's mentioned here in the podcast in the show notes, and we'll be back next week with another episode of the Evernest Property Management Show.